can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister?
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Holy on slow!
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Oh, yeah.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Dwight Clark.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana, touchdown, John Taylor. John Taylor, who set...
Do you believe it? I had someone actually tell me by voice that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to sports. Let me repeat that. I had someone actually tell me by voice I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to sports. Now, normally, I would laugh at that kind of situation. But this time it bugged me. Morning. Welcome to the Taco Tuesday edition, or the Terrific Tuesday edition I'm going to use, of Snowman in the Morning. And I'm a little irked, for lack of a better phrase. Cole Johnson joins me. Good morning, sir. Well, maybe he doesn't. We'll get him on the line here really quick. This is why, after so many experiments, and Lord knows I've done my share of experiments, I think I'm going to make this, I think I have a solution on finally getting my partner to join me via video. Now I think I have him. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm a little irked. And just a little.
Why are you irked?
Because of these mental-minded midgets on social media that keep telling me I don't know what the heck I'm talking about when it comes to sports.
Well, their pea brains can't conceive of someone who probably forgot more than they know. I'm so sorry. I feel for them extremely little.
I will bring up said incident where they said what they said.
Okay.
It's a versus. Brady versus, and you can fill in the blank.
Okay, any quarterback. But I think I know which one.
Mm-hmm.
In question here, yeah.
That argument started when, I won't call him a mental-minded midget. I will call him a Bradyite. When in big, bold letters, he said, Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. I said, wrong? I mean, 22 years in the NFL and all the records that he has and the 7 Super Bowl titles, hey, no argument with those. But the greatest quarterback of all time? Pardon my French to begin the show, but oh, hell no. And I politely said Montana over Brady.
Mm-hmm.
About 5 or 6 people said in unison, you cannot make an argument for Joe Montana over Tom Brady.
Oh, yes,
oh,
you can.
Yes, I can. I can make a few of them. So, they put out the prove it line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like proving anything to these mental-minded midgets. And yes, the New York accent is coming all the way out this morning. I didn't feel like proving anything to these mental-minded midgets, so I just let it hang and walked off. And of course oh, well, you didn't answer. You can't prove anything. I can. I just don't feel like it with you fools. Which leads to how we're leading off the show this morning. Apparently, Tom Brady is going to hang them up after 22 years. Now, has it been made official? No. Has the story been leaked about it? Yep. Several times over on Saturday.
So it has not come out of his mouth still.
Basically.
Okay,
But it has, but it hasn't.
Okay.
I think he's hanging him up.
Possibly so.
I think he's hanging him up. Now, I'll say it again. You can't argue with the numbers he's put up. You can't argue with 7 Super Bowl titles. You can't argue with the stuff that he's done as a 6th-round pick. I'm not arguing that. I will never argue. I will never argue that, ever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about the greatest of all time, even though he has 3 less Super Bowls, who did all this first? That would be Mr. Montana. I mean, Terry Bradshaw has 4 Super Bowl titles, yes, but he only has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Who was the first to get 3 of them? That's right, Mr. Montana. Now, Brady has 5 of them, and his longevity is in question. Hey, Tom Brady's longevity is better than LeBron James's longevity. I'll touch that later. And I'm taking a direct shot. I'm taking a direct shot at you-know-who. But riddle me this. The catch or the tuck? Which one was a better moment in starting a dynasty?
Easily is the catch.
Okay. There are 2 goose eggs next to Montana. And you know the 2 categories.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Super Bowl losses and Super Bowl interceptions. Montana has thrown none and has lost none.
Right.
So now I'll throw this to you. Mm-hmm. Why do people still vote Brady over Montana? Even though Montana's never lost a Super Bowl, he's never thrown a Super Bowl interception. His career has been littered with injuries, just like Jimmy Garoppolo's, and that's a direct hit. And yet, they still want to put Brady and his accomplishments over the fellow who was first to get 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Randy Moss, on a Super Bowl pregame show, said, quote, "I'm already up here nervous. I'm sitting next to the legend." Yeah, that L word that y'all want to put on Brady, you put it next to Montana first. And in many ways, you put it next to Johnny Unitas first. You and I have discussed this here.
Yes.
So you want 1 and 1A, you got Montana and Unitas.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this to all you Bradyites, but if you'll allow me to cook here for a minute, Brady's dynasty began because of a rule that has never been seen again since that game in 2002.
And now abolished.
Montana's legend began because of a play that broke down and Dwight Clark saved. I mean, Montana threw it where either Clark would get it or no one would get it. All 6'4" of Dwight Clark leapt in the air and caught it, which is why I opened with the opening I have. Yeah, has Tom Brady ever thrown a game-winning Super Bowl touchdown? And I'm talking about within the final 60 seconds.
Not that I can remember. Just put put his team within position of 2 game-winning field goals, but game-winning touchdown, no.
Guess who has? And you heard it on the opening this morning. Yeah, that will be Mr. Montana when he hit John Taylor.
John Taylor.
In the end zone, and he was the only receiver he was looking at. So hear me out, Bradyites. I'm not going to ever question Tom Brady's ability, his mind, his arm, nor his numbers. Ever. Can't do that. 20 years with one team? That's kind of hard to question. Closest to that, even lately, would be Drew Brees, and he spent 16 in New Orleans.
And you're throwing Ben Roethlisberger, too.
Roethlisberger with 18 with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't send a docket over, and I apologize again. But Ben Roethlisberger's on our docket today. I'll let you have the floor for a couple of... Why do they keep throwing this question at me? Or try again. Why do they keep throwing this question at us? Why?
Well,
what the hell is wrong with these... I'll say it the way you would say it. Mm-hmm. What the hell is wrong with these mental-minded midgets?
I'm so glad you opened today's show with this, because later on today, I will go even further on the daily as to how I've been treated by, and you're being kind when you call them Bradyites. But being treated by these Bradyites, I will give you an in-depth look at what I've received. And it is almost borderline just like that other group that I'll talk about tomorrow and talk directly to tomorrow. But to answer your question,
I cannot wait for that. I can't wait. Because the other group of people... No, answer the question, please, because I don't want to interrupt your thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
But to answer your question, we're dealing with a sports fandom that is prisoner of the moment. And I had to, when we talked about this basketball-wise, I had to go back and think, and was I doing this with Jordan when in comparison with others? Was I a prisoner of the moment? Was I longing for days of when I was a teenager and a young adult, as just opposed to being an older adult, looking at the game now and looking at the game even before now. And every year I've asked that question. Every year I've come up with the answer no, because I know what I saw with greatness in one arena, and it just doesn't measure up with putting someone else in comparison with him. The same goes with Montana and Brady. And people could, and I'll say this: I am not a 49ers fan. Unlike my partner, I am not a 49ers fan. Unlike my partner, I didn't follow Montana meticulously. However, I did follow Montana pretty well, and I have studied a lot of him after his retirement. So I'm well aware of a lot of the things he's done. I mean, even what he did back in high school in Western Pennsylvania before he even set foot on Notre Dame.
Right.
So I'm well aware of Joe Montana now. And the greatness that he has displayed as a quarterback, it's like when I see these quarterbacks now, especially ones who are the style that Montana is, it really is a been there, done that type of thing with me, and Brady fits in that mold. And
could you say that again, please, for the cheap seats at Candlestick Park?
I saw Montana play quarterback, and the quarterbacks that play in his style, you're seeing them now that has come after him. It's like been there, done that. And, I've seen it, and Brady is one of them. And what makes it even funnier is that Brady grew up where?
In the Bay.
Yeah, he's a Bay Area kid. And not only was a Bay Area kid, he was a Bay Area kid when the 49ers rose to prominence.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 4 when they won their first championship back in 1982. The 1981 season, but January 1982 was when the Super Bowl happened.
1982.
Yeah. Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, he actually was at the catch game.
Yep.
So
he was. And whose jersey was he wearing?
I think it was, what was the number? 88? No, 87. No, it was 51. No, it was 42. No, 16.
Number 16. See, at least
And
Brady knows how to handle his idolism, okay?
Yeah.
I give you that. Brady knew where his bread was buttered.
Now, see, this is the difference. Yeah, this is the difference between, to me, Brady and some others. He doesn't carry himself as, well, I'm better than everybody else. He's a competitor for sure, and the confidence and the cockiness that you need to have on the field, he does and / did convey, and I love that.
Yeah, same.
But off the field, he showed and still shows reverence, respect, and admiration for those who did it as well as he did on certain levels, in certain places, in certain times, and certain statures. He makes no bones about how much he reveres Joe Montana, to the point where I know you've seen it, because I've surely. I look at him, I close my eyes, it's like I'm seeing Montana all over again. Seriously. And that's not a knock, that's not an insult, that's not a slap, that's not a jab, that's not even a dig at Brady.
Brady just knows who he is and who did it for him.
Yeah.
He said so several hundred times.
It is to me, it is to borrow an SAT analogy. Montana is to Brady as Jordan is to Kobe. And
Amen.
When you saw Kobe, you saw a lot of Jordan, and he made no bones. And he made no bones about trying to emulate everything that he was about, because he wanted to be as great as he could be, and he wanted to seek out who was the greatest in his mind, and he thought it was Jordan.
That's why they were so close.
And that's why they ended up being so close as brothers, basically. The same thing with Brady as just opposed to Montana. I mean, he saw Montana up close. From grammar school until high school, before he actually began his high school quarterbacking, his football career in earnest, he saw the best quarterback to ever play. And he emulated just about everything that Montana did.
With a shorter passing game.
That's the only big time difference. Brady utilized and mastered the short passing game. But that was a derivative of the slants that Montana would throw.
Absolutely.
It was just brought in just a little bit closer.
The slants became the short passing game. That's all.
Right.
That's all. Okay? Yeah. I mean, I love you, Tom Brady, but...
I do too.
And Brady will tell you, we've already seen it.
Yep.
Brady will tell you himself, we've already seen it. He was like, just let me be me. Okay? A la Kobe Bryant, when the Michael Jordan conversation would happen. Now, like a certain person we'll discuss tomorrow in earnest, but I digress. Let's go to a break. When we come back, there's the screen I'm looking for. When y'all get back, there will be another argument. Maybe, sort of, kind of.
Oh,
actually, it won't be. You know what I got next? Who needs what in terms of football teams? And I can tell you, this is going to be an extended one. Back in a moment.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day-Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delicia on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delicia, that is where you find it. Here, children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delicia. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delicia, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
Several coaching vacancies remain, and Brian Flores is not filling one of them. We'll discuss in a moment. Meanwhile, as I bring my partner Cole Johnson back into the conversation, usually when a coaching search happens, you want to get someone who's been there, who's done that, more than likely a defensive coordinator that led a defense, had top rankings with his defense. Not in the case of the Chicago Bears, and that's where we'll start. And over the next several days and weeks, we'll highlight all of the coaching searches and fillings and vacancies and all that stuff. I present to you, my friend, a very simple question. And I know you're a student of the game, and I also know you dig into your research as I do. So you'll understand when I ask this question about my hometown team. What the hell are they doing?
I think you have Um, I think you have a better understanding of what they're doing than they do.
What in the Vita blue, yellow-bellied, red-blooded hell are they doing?
All right, so Pete, they said they have a quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a porous offensive line. They
Very
didn't
porous.
build one. They didn't build one before they drafted him.
Nope.
And they didn't really seek free agency to get one to help him out.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So right there, you're behind the 8 ball already.
And
it
wasn't even John Zaglow put it in his show, Sports Talk Chicago, and I'm going to borrow from him. And if you think about it, it's so true. Bear fans weren't worried about the head coach. They were worried about who's going to be the OC to develop Justin Fields.
And
am I wrong? Am I wrong here?
No.
Did I misspeak?
No. I was saying, speaking of OC, that is what the previous head coach thought he also was, in Matt Nagy.
Oh God!
And
I have a theory. Matt Nagy ruined Mitch Trubisky. I'll speak on that in a moment. I'm dropping bombs today.
Well, I must be doing Hansel and Gretel. I'm just throwing breadcrumbs right in your direction. But so this wonderful quarterback whisperer,
if you want to call him that,
ruined one quarterback's career, and he was on the road to ruin a second. And he ruined the first one so bad that people turned on him, not toward Nagy. They turned on Trubisky, thinking that he had no talent. Turned on him hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now messed him up to the point where, even though, you forget that under Trubisky, the Bears won the AFC, NFC North, and went to the playoffs another year, and the three full years he started as quarterback. You forget that because you think about the tumultuous road that was his experience in the Windy City.
And
now he's not even considered a second quarterback.
Fault.
And he's not even considered a second-string quarterback now.
Nope.
And yes, it is all Nagy's fault.
It is Nagy's fault that Mitch Trubisky got ruined. Let me say that again, Bear fans. Mitch Trubisky was ruined by Matt Nagy. It's just sad that y'all see it about a year too late.
But they had no choice but to see it when Justin Fields came to town. And he didn't really... I got the feeling and had the itch. He really didn't want him there. But... but of course the brass said you got to have him there because we actually drafted him and you got to play him. And he looked like he was on a self-fulfilling mission and prophecy to ruin this young man's career too.
Quarterback whisperer, my butt.
So you have that going for you.
And let me touch on the new GM, Ryan Poles. Now, I make this disclaimer. I will give him and new head coach Matt Eberflus. There's a name for you. A chance.
Yeah, Eberflus, yeah.
I will give them both a chance, and I will be fair. But as far as Ryan Poles goes, he's a puppet. Here's what I mean, and John Zaglow said it best.
Correct.
And after a little bit of research, John hit it right on the money. So shout out to my good friend John Zaglow in Chicago. Ryan Poles did not conduct this search. Ryan Poles is a puppet. He was handed 3 names to interview for the head coaching position. And that came from upstairs.
Right. Yeah, so they conducted the search. Yeah.
They conducted the search. Ryan Poles just conducted the interviews. And somehow they settled on Matt Eberflus. And I say settled with a big fat question mark. You mean to tell me, and for those of you, all right, forgive me in advance, and for those of you woke-ass NFL fans, this got nothing to do with black or white, okay? This is everything to do with merit and ability, so listen carefully. You mean to tell me that Ryan Poles couldn't slip a fast one by them and reach out to Brian Flores? Really?
They wanted a certain style of coach. They wanted a certain flavor
I
of coach.
don't give two fifths of a rat's ass.
And
you mean
neither
to
do
tell me,
and neither do they.
That's the problem. That's the absolute bleeping problem. Good gracious.
They wanted a warm body to fill the spot. And they wanted, and you mentioned the right word, puppet.
Mm-hmm.
So
they
if
wanted
you
a
have
puppet.
So you have a puppet for a general manager, what do you think Mr. Eberflus is now?
A bigger puppet.
Thank you. And unfortunately, here's Matt. He's seeing himself and his stock rise all throughout this past year, being the defense coordinator for the Colts. And we're going to forget the last 2 games of this year, but his stock was starting to rise.
You just climbed in my head. As a person who covers the Indianapolis Colts for End Zone Sportsnet, you're going to forget the last 2 games when they had not 1, but 2 shots to walk into the playoffs against 2 teams that were falling backwards. Because had the Raiders lost that game to Indy, they don't get in.
Right. Yeah, the Colts get in and they eliminate the Raiders. Yeah.
You had a chance to eliminate the Las Vegas Raiders, and you let them get away. Then you had a chance to go to Jacksonville. Jacksonville!
Ain't won but 2 games all year.
And you let them cook you for 400 yards of offense. And you Chicago Bears won. This guy, as your head coach,
ain't played that good. And I'm being serious when I say this. Ain't played that good in 4 years.
You're right.
But being in Matt Eberflus's shoes, yeah, he saw his stock rise, but it took a dip the last 2 weeks of this year.
It took a tremendous dip. Good Lord.
And the Bears, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but this has been the observation I've had about the team.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fan base because it is passionate.
Very much so.
I love the history because it's storied.
Mm-hmm.
Both the stadium in which they play and the team itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the I love the patriarch of the team, and George Halas, because he embodies football.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems as if since he's passed away, the team has just been like you've seen
dog
paper.
mess.
Yeah,
I'll stop you right there. It's been a decline of epic proportions beyond the Jaguars, beyond the Panthers, beyond the 49ers when they went downstairs and they eventually rose up with Kyle Shanahan. And I got something personal to say to some people about Kyle Shanahan later on.
Now, have you seen paper in a fall wind that's brisk? You see it, or plastic bag. You see it just go to and from hither and there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears organization, ever since Papa Bear has died, has been pretty much given to the trends of the game, and they don't seem to stick to what I thought was their identity. A bunch of linebackers,
mm-hmm.
and you built around them. That's what I thought the Bears were. A bunch of linebackers on a running game. That is what I thought.
Gone away from it.
Yeah.
They've gone so far away from it. Even after it seemed like it was immediately after their Super Bowl year of 1985. They just dipped. Playoff appearances, absolutely. But after 1992, when Mike Ditka coached his last game, and Iron Mike Singletary played his last game, they've just been in the toilet.
Yeah. And we're still seeing the effects of it 3.5, almost 4 decades later. And
and that's on management too.
It is.
Well, let me change my word. That's on management, especially for not being with the times and not actually looking at what the team needs. Oh, did I say a cuss word or phrase? Looking at what the team needs. What happened to that? What happened to that?
I have no idea.
Looking at what the team needs. And now you get rid of Ryan and Matt for Ryan and Matt again.
I guess they're fixated on names. But
what the hell is wrong with this picture?
Management wants to coach the team.
I mean, what is wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
And this is my hometown. This is my hometown team.
Mm-hmm. Management wants to coach the team. That's the way I look at it. They want to coach the team.
Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's ridiculous when you see it. And the reason why they didn't go for Brian Flores was because the one thing that I also have understood about the Bears is all of that storied history, storied stadium, pillar of a presence in football. In fact, such a pillar, they named the NFC Championship after his name.
It's the George Halas Trophy, and they've only gotten it twice since it's been renamed. 2006. Actually, once. 2006. 2006.
Mm-hmm. They are cheap. They come across as cheap. And here they are making a move that is rather inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
Because they did not want to pay someone like a Flores. They figured, okay, well, we can get someone who's still a defensive mind.
Flores is going to command money.
Of course.
He took the Dolphins within an inch of the playoffs with 10 wins in back-to-back seasons, especially the second season after they started 1-7.
Yeah.
And all these, and I'm working this in. All these woke ass all these woke ass NFL fans. Oh, we can't see a black coach. We can't see a black coach. What is Mike Tomlin?
He's black.
And he's a coach.
And he's a head coach, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a very successful one.
Yes, he is. One where he has not had a losing season in 15 years he's coached.
In 15 seasons. Yeah. We'll put a pin in it there because I want to hit that point next. We're talking about coaching searches, and we're going to explore a subject that on one end we're tired of, but on the second end it needs to be explored and explored correctly. Advertise with us, if you will. 919-247-3622 is the magic number you need, or you can drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. Hey, woke NFL fans, we got something for you. It's called merit. I'll explain when y'all get back.
Knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delicia on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delicia, that is where you find it. Here children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up. The kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delicia. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delicia, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
I need to tell you guys something, but all of a sudden I am not feeling well, so we're going to break at 9 today and not have a second hour because my stomach is busy acting a fool right now, and I did something on an empty stomach and I should not have, and I know better, but I know I'm going to pay for it, so only 1 hour today. And I'm going to go rest and get everything ready for tomorrow. But I am going to plow through this final segment of the morning. Why do these woke-ass NFL fans believe everything is ha-ha, black and white?
Easy answer.
Mm-hmm.
It is very simple and very lazy to just deduce everything to the fact that we are marginalized all the time, no matter what, no matter where, no matter when.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't take into account any of the extenuating circumstances that may happen. Even we don't even take, and we don't supposedly take into account the normal circumstances that happens in life.
Here's why I bring this up. From a coaching standpoint and a quarterback standpoint. Get to the quarterbacks in a moment. The name Eric Bieniemy popped up again.
Oh yeah. What's the phrase? Stephen A. Smith.
Screaming A. Smith, maybe.
Well, no, not. I mean, not. I'm talking about what he does when it comes to Dog whistle. That seems to be one of his biggest dog whistles. That he just touts the fact that the enemy gets overlooked or outclassed or ignored.
Stephen A.,
and
well, how about this? How about the fact that Eric Bieniemy doesn't want to go anywhere?
And
has made that quite clear.
Or how about this? He may not want to go anywhere because he might be promised to be the next
second in
Chiefs head
command
coach.
He's second in command for Andy Reid.
Yeah.
So you wonder why Eric Bieniemy has flipped off all overtures. Okay.
Look,
my partner introduced
one of those
a
overtures
word.
would have been Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why would he want to coach?
Flipped them
Texans?
off.
I'm sorry, and
Flipped
that's my team.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he want to coach them?
What, the
I'm sorry,
Houston
go ahead.
Oilers? Oh, I'm sorry, Houston Texans. Whoops.
Yeah, I know that. Don't remind my heart. But sorry, go ahead.
Don't remind my heart. I miss the Houston Oilers. Okay, being real about it. Bieniemy's not going anywhere because he's second in command in Kansas City. Brian Flores is going to command money because of what he can do.
Yeah, because that Dolphins roster.
Mm-hmm.
To borrow a phrase they normally hear in South Beach, basura.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have some good defensive talent. They have nothing for offense, and the dudes still have them churning out winning records.
Back-to-back 10-win seasons. Back-to-back 10-win seasons. You know what'll piss everybody off? What if Brian Flores in some capacity lands in San Francisco? And oh, by the way, D'Amico Ryans, he's not going anywhere.
I was about to say, if D'Amico Ryans is going somewhere, I could see it. But since he's going nowhere, I can't see him landing
D'Amico Ryans told the Vikings, thanks, but no thanks. I'll stay where I am.
Yeah, because he already interviewed with them.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Vikings wind up going and proceed with second interview, he was like,
nah,
my business ain't finished in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm. Like, nah, I'm good.
He's going to make a wonderful head coach.
He is.
When he feels his time.
When he feels it's time, and when his time comes, he's going to be a great head coach. Mm-hmm. He is. Now, to the quarterback side of things. And this is an argument I've had for many a moon. Many a moon. I've been told several 100,000 times over that the black quarterback gets slighted. How about this instead? What if the black quarterback actually, I don't know, learned and played the position of quarterback? Actually, what am I looking for here? Studied the position? What if the black quarterback was a quarterback and not an athlete playing quarterback? Yeah, all those nukes you just heard, I dropped them.
Now, if we're going to talk about black quarterbacks that were marginalized, the black quarterbacks that were dissed,
mm-hmm.
Why don't we talk about Warren Moon? Why don't we talk about Joe Gilliam?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Why don't we talk about Joe Harris?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you all don't know those names?
How about Doug Williams?
Yes, and then how about Doug Williams? Y'all don't know those names? Well, I'm so sorry, woke NFL fan. It's because they were marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
They had their time on the NFL field, and at some point, especially with Harris and Gilliam's tenures,
mm-hmm.
their respective teams, which would be the Steelers and the Rams respectively, said, no, we're going to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. And
because of that, quarterbacks like that came along after them, like Warren Moon, like Doug Williams, were looked upon and they thought, you're black. We don't know if a black man can lead a team. That is being marginalized.
Doug Williams did.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Williams got rescued by Joe Gibbs, and then 1987 happened.
Right.
Took him to San Diego and blew out the Broncos in one quarter.
And you want to talk about marginalized Warren Moon?
You know
If he
what?
wouldn't have gotten us,
I love Warren Moon. I've
I do too.
always loved Warren Moon, even when he was with the Edmonton Eskimos. And I know my buddy Rod Peterson will love that old school name.
Yes.
They're the Edmonton Elks now, but
Mm-hmm.
they were the Edmonton Eskimos,
Eskimos.
when Warren Moon was playing.
He didn't even get a sniff in the NFL
Nope.
until he went to Edmonton and won 5 straight Grey Cups there.
Mm-hmm. One of 2
Why?
quarterbacks that didn't get a sniff in the NFL until they had success in the CFL. Who's the other? Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie. Mm-hmm. And that's not a black quarterback walking NFL fan. So, but you hear some other stories. Tony Dungy being another. He was a quarterback in college.
That he was.
I know I'm educating you, woke NFL fan, but sit
Hit
up
him.
and pay attention.
Hit him.
He was a quarterback in college. When he got to the pros, you know what they said? Yeah, for a quarterback, you make for a good cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them that were quarterbacks in college were convinced that they have to play other positions.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it went all the way to the 90s because you remember the name Charlie Ward, correct?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback at Florida State.
That's right. He didn't go to the NFL because the NFL didn't think he could be a quarterback. And this was in the 90s.
The NFL didn't think he could be a leader. Let's just be flat out honest with it. They didn't think he could be a quarterback, and they didn't think he could be a leader. Even though he set many a record at Florida State, came within an eyelash of beating Notre Dame in South Bend in 1993. Yeah. And what was the trophy he picked up? Oh, yeah, it's called the Heisman.
The Heisman. So if you want to talk about black quarterbacks being marginalized and black quarterbacks being passed over and looked over, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say that about Kyler Murray. You can't say that about Lamar Jackson. You can't say that about Russell Wilson. You can't say that about Patrick Mahomes. They aren't being overlooked because they are all starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I believe, do I think, do I surmise that they could be any different if they were to be coached differently? Maybe. But what I do believe is that quarterbacks that I just named in the 2010s and now 2020s, they're getting a little starting. 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they weren't getting that.
You know,
when you fan say, oh, they're getting hated on because they're black quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what that looks like. Understand what that hate truly looks like, because these quarterbacks ain't getting hated on. They're not even getting hated, period, for what they are and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do some of them need to brush up on what a quarterback in the NFL looks like? Yes.
Yes, they do. And that was my point, and that's always been my point.
But they have the opportunity to be on the field as starting quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead, sir.
That's some of them need a lot of a brush up on what a quarterback does, but they're on the field and they're starting. Okay, they're on the field and they're starting.
And if they're being overlooked, then why is it that in back-to-back years, black quarterbacks ended up being MVPs of the league? Answer that question for me, sir.
Let's see. Mahomes 2018, Lamar Jackson 2019. Let's see. Mahomes had a 4,000-yard season in 2018, second year in the league, first